Hey guys, Nadine. So guess what? I finally read The Fault in Our Stars. Oh my god. Oh, I read it. This book is amazing and beautifully written. I enjoyed it so much. Before I read this book, my sister told me to put my expectations low. Not because this book was bad, but because so many people hyped it and talked about it. And to put expectations really high before going into a book is not always the best idea. So I did that. And I can truthfully say my first chapter in this book, I was captured. Captured by John Green's writing, captured by the characters, and by the whole book itself. I fell in love first chapter in. And my expectations were low because I didn't want to, put them so high. But he set the standards. He set the standards high, and it was an amazing book. If you haven't read The Fault in Our Stars, I really recommend you do. This book is amazing, and it gave me a reality check. It really did. It teaches you so much, and I'm not going to lie, there's so much vocabulary in here. It was somewhat difficult to read, but overall it was an amazing book, and I love that because you're understanding new things that you never knew before. And if you've never read this book, I really recommend you read it and you get on it as soon as possible because the movie just came out and you need to watch it. I have not watched it yet, but I will get to it. For all those people who haven't read this book, the protagonist is Hazel Grace, and she has cancer, thyroid, I think thyroid is in her lungs, and she meets this guy at a support group, and they start being friends and getting to know each other. They just live their life. It's not really a cancer book, someone trying to battle through it. It's more them trying to live their life. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book. This book is filled with romance, with passion, with hope, with pain, and it's a beautiful book. It truly did make me shed some tears throughout the book. But in the end, the ending was beautiful, no matter how sad it is. And I really do recommend this book, and I recommend everyone should read it. There are some beautiful quotes in this, beautiful literary devices, and I really recommend everyone should read this. Now I'm getting to the spoiler part, so if you haven't read this book, you should leave because it's going to get spoiled for you, and don't get spoiled. All those people who have not read this, go. So, I sort of got spoiled before reading this a little bit. So I was talking to a girl in class about the book, and she was telling me how she really wants to read it, and she got spoiled for it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, don't tell me. She's like, I won't. So, on the start, this book was on my desk, and then this boy walks by, and he's like, he dies. And I don't know if that's true, right? Until now. And the girl beside me was like, she's like, oh, don't listen to him, he's lying. And then I was like, oh, alright. But I had a feeling that yeah, she might, just because it would be such an expected ending if Hazel did die. And I read the book, I didn't know how he was going to die or anything, and he did. And that was so heart-wrenching and so, heart-aching, and it just made me so upset. But that's just how life is, and this book taught me so much, and I loved it so much. You can see that I have left some sticky notes in here, some quotes that I loved. I didn't get to sticky note all the quotes that I loved just because I flipped through this book because I was so intrigued. I love Isaac. I think Isaac is such an amazing character, and it was so sad how he became blind. It was awful how his girlfriend ended up breaking up with him. I think it was stupid of her to even stay with him if she knew in the end that she wouldn't handle it. I think she should have just broke up with him from the beginning. The whole Caroline thing, I was extremely shocked about that. It was so upsetting how she would actually make fun of Gus, and maybe it was her, maybe it wasn't. It was just really weird and really, awful, and I'm glad he met Hazel. Stephen Van Heusen, let's talk about him. So, in the beginning of the book, Hazel praises him, and she thinks he's such an amazing guy, and I even think so as the reader is living her life. And then you get to meet him, he's just a drunk. He's a horrible guy. He's just a drunk. Maybe not a horrible guy, but he's just a drunk and just a bad guy who has ruined his life in a way. And it's a little upsetting because his writing seems so amazing. I don't think he's a real guy, right? I think John Green's the one who wrote the Imperial Affection or something. I don't know, let me know. I love how they got to go to Amsterdam. During the book, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope they do, and they finally did, and I loved it. I loved it so much. I think it was just a beautiful time, and finally in Amsterdam is when they kissed, and I was like, yes. And it was so funny, the whole circle of virgins thing, and then the whole little small circle of, guys who are not virgins with one night. That was hilarious. And I love how in this book, the intimacy, the sex scene, didn't go in depth. All these of those scenes are entertaining, and other YA books are things like that, but I liked how we just skimmed through it and just was really peaceful and really like serene. Before we find out Augustus sick, I already was thinking he might be, just because there were little signs of it. Oh, he'd be tired, or these little things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Augustus might be getting a relapse of like cancer, and he does, and it's so upsetting because it's unfair. He's 80% chance of him living, and then 20% chance, which is horrible. So there's this one quote I love. She's like, we kissed for a while and then laid together, listening to the Hectic Glows Eponymous album, I probably said that wrong, and eventually we fell asleep like that, a quantum entanglement of tubes and bodies. I just love that quote. It just shows you that anyone can love, no matter what. I think the whole Gus phone call at 2:30 a.m. was crazy. It was so sad to see him at that state, because Gus is always the one who isn't like that. It's the one who's like, oh, live your life, I'm always grand, and it's him like trying to be like that, but he's showing so much pity for himself, and it's really upsetting. You know, his pre-funeral, that actually made me shed some tears a little bit. Like, it was so sad and so beautiful. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I know it's like, oh, a pre-funeral, that should be upsetting. It was, but the words that were being said were so strong, and honestly made me really emotional. I'm getting emotional. So Gus's death was a little unexpected in the beginning of the book, and when it happened, it was the pre-funeral chapter, and then you flip, and then bam, he's dead. It was like Gus died 8 days later, and I was like, it hit me like a shock. I was like, oh, there's like, 50 more pages, like, oh, Gus is still going to be living for a couple of more chapters, and then it's like, what? No? It was just really sad and heartbreaking. Funeral scene and Steve Van Tunen showing up was really unexpected, and I really liked it. Even though Van Tunen is an ass, I really liked that he gave a shit about someone, and that he did this for Gus and did this for Hazel, and it was like sort of like him redeeming himself, and I appreciated that. There's this quote that Hazel said that I just loved. She was like, funerals, I had decided, are for the living. I don't know why, but that hit me. I've always thought funerals, oh, let's remember the dead, but the dead are gone. The funerals are actually for the living, to be comforted and to linger on to that person who has died, and it just gave me a reality check in that moment. Like, whoa, that is so true. I think the strong green, his writing was beautiful, and the ending of this book, I really liked it. I was really wondering how this book would end, and I love how it ended on Augustus' note. Something I really appreciate John Green for is the way he wrote this book. At the end of the book, Augustus says this: my thoughts are stars I can't fathom into constellations. John Green could have easily been like, my thoughts are jumbled right now, and I cannot write this eulogy. But no, he said instead, my thoughts are stars I can't fathom into constellations. Like, look how beautifully written that is. Like, the literary devices in this are just wow. Let me know, guys, what you think about this book if you've read it. Let me know if you loved it, if you hated it. Let me know if it made you cry, if it made you laugh out loud, because it for sure made me laugh out loud and cry as well. And let me know if you watched the movie. If you did watch the movie, did you enjoy it? I haven't watched the movie yet, but I'm planning on watching it next week, so I cannot wait. I just love this book, and it really gave me a new insight on the world. And let me know if it was just another book for you, or if it was just a good read. Let me know. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, recommend, and share, and just have a great day, guys. Bye!